Well, it is all over. Inflation is over 2.8%. It's coming up. Johnny Cash, what do you have to say about that?
It's all over. My heart echoed, it's all over.
It's all over. That's what the news is saying these days. They're saying that it is all over, that we are finished. Inflation is over. It's not coming back. And what does that mean? It means that home prices could rebound. Is that what it is? Well, we're going to be looking into that today. It's some big stories, I think, for us to take a look at. Now, when they talk about inflation, it is very interesting to me that people still have a problem with understanding what deflation is, inflation, and disinflation. And so this is just disinflation. It's actually not deflation, which means prices are going up, albeit at a slower pace. So let me give you an idea of what this disinflation is. And this is where they are screaming from the rooftops today that we have declared victory. So just imagine for a second that we had something that was $1,000 in the year 2020, $1,000 right here. A year later, massive inflation is taking place. It is now $1,100 for the exact same item, $1,100 up in 2021. Then we move to 2022, it's $1,200, and you're like, my goodness, things are going up $100 a month. I can't even afford that. That is crazy. But then guess what happens? All of a sudden, it's $1,205. Notice that it went up $100 in the first year, $100 here, but the last year it only goes up $5. So all of a sudden, we think that we have beaten inflation. But there is no way on God's green earth that we are going back to $1,000 of 2020. No, once prices go up, as we all know, they stay up. And it doesn't go down. And this is for pretty much all commodities that we face on a day-to-day basis. This is just the way it goes. And so whether we're talking about loaves of bread, if we're talking about cars or whatever it is, it's going to come back to that every single time. But let's take a look at some of the information that came out today, because we're going to look at Statistics Canada. We're going to be looking at the United States and try to see where we are sitting in this crazy, crazy world. All right. So if we take a look right now and take a look at what came out today, this is the Statistics Canada Consumer Price Index. In June 2023, notice that they said it rose 2.8% year over year. Now, I know you guys know that it's 2.8%. 2% is the target, but they changed it this year, 1 to 3%, they said. So 2.8% year over year means that we won, because 3.4 in May, it's coming down. But notice in the second sentence, please take a look at what it says in the second sentence. While the deceleration was fairly broad-based, it's gasoline prices that led to a lower CPI. Oh, isn't that interesting? It has nothing to do with what Canada did or the United States. It only has to do with what's happening with gas prices. Don't you think that is interesting? I was just trying out a new microphone, you guys. You guys can let me know in the comment section. Do you like this new microphone or do you dislike it? Let me know if this sounded better before. I'd love to hear your take on it. All right. So this right now, the deceleration was fairly based, but it was based on gas prices. Isn't that interesting? But notice that they're still celebrating. Inflation cools to 2.8. This is in the Financial Post. But food and mortgage costs are up sharply. Remember, mortgage costs are adding 30% to the cost of inflation, which is absolutely cray-cray, right? But what is going on, and how do we get to this point? Because the Kiwis are the ones, the New Zealanders, that started this whole 2% cabal. Because before we had taxes, right, on different things. And when we couldn't raise taxes over 50%, all of a sudden they needed more taxes. And how could they do it? Because people kind of revolted when it went over that 5-0 mark. So they figured out, if I print extra money, it's an invisible tax on people. So that 2% was an extra 2% tax they could get from you by printing all this fake funny money. Taxation without representation. That kind of gets people upset, right? But we don't really understand it, so people never make a big deal of it. But this is the cabal that went on. This is all countries of the world gotten to know about this. This happened all the way back in Rome many years ago. But did you notice that it said that the inflation numbers are better, really good, but based on gasoline prices? So we have to take a look at this gasoline prices. Now, I pulled up Brent crude and West Texas intermediate crude. You can see that it doesn't matter what oil, they're almost intrinsically linked. If we just go back a little bit over a year ago, it was almost 120. And then look at this. Over the year, it's just crushing the price all the way down, hit as low in the 60s, $60 for oil. Here is one thing that you guys can remember is that the economy equals oil, period. There's no and ifs or like nothing. It is only oil. Every food that we eat is transported with oil. Everything that we use is transported by oil, number one. But number two, your glasses, anything made out of plastic, your clothing, your food that you eat is made from fertilizer, from oil. I mean, oil is the recipe, the key ingredient to get everything running. Hopefully one day we're going to be able to get off of that. But for now, if you want to just look at one thing about the economy, oil would be it. Oil and liquidity. But if you see that the price of oil is dropping like a stone, you got to know that this means that the economy is slowing down, and it takes time. So when Canada says that the price of oil was the reason why inflation fell, well, who controls the oil? Let's take a look at this graph. This is the OPEC countries of the world, so oil producing and exporting countries, and non-OPEC. OPEC rules the world, you guys, whether we like it or not. The oil is controlled by the Middle East and obviously the other countries that are part of OPEC as well. But they control a massive amount of the oil around the world. So we have to try to look into that. Now, they did mention in the report, if you kept on reading on, that it was Prince Edward Island is facing the least inflation, but not for long, because as we know, as of July 1, Prince Edward Island now has a new carbon tax that is being put on them. So say goodbye to that crown very, very soon. Actually, it's already in the rearview mirror. July 1st is already come and gone. But we have to look, number one, the question is when we look at this number, okay, when we're looking at the number of inflation that has gone down. Remember at the beginning, we showed you that the price went from $1,000 all the way up to $1,200. Yes, that is true, but that is true when we're looking at like the price of your food bill per month. That is going up and it's not coming down again. We import a lot of people into the country. The grocery stores sell more stuff. Obviously, more people have to eat, and those prices will be sticking around on top of all of the wars that we have going on right now, which is crazy town. That goes up, but the prices of homes don't always go up. Notice this chart. If we go back, this has got Canada's money supply M3, and we could look at the United States as well. But over time, especially since the 60s and 70s, through these different wars, look at the amount of money printing that has to happen over the year. This is Canada. Notice the 2007, 8, 9 bubble here. You don't even see anything. If we zoom in, you might be able to see a little nick. That's it. Now, let's move forward and let's try to look at what happened in 2020. We all know what happened in 2020. Barely even visible. Okay, this barely little dent. But you should see the structure of this line looking like a ski slope and be able to put this on some kind of math projector and know that it's going straight up from here. All right, the United States, let's take a look at them. Now, this goes back really far, all the way to 1960. Gray bars are the recessions that have happened in the past. All right, so if we take a look at the recessions that have happened in the past, the increasing of the M3 money supply over and over and over and over and over again. In 2020, it launched like right off a trampoline. And then we see this little curve. So when you see in the papers that they are saying, okay, guys, this has never happened before. We can see that it peaked out right around mid-year last year, and it came off this little tiny bit. Nothing compared to what they started printing over here. So if you look at it overall, you could be able to see the track that it is heading on, and it is going straight up, very similar to the way that Canada's is straight up, even though we don't have that tiny little hook at the very end. So this is very, very important for us to know. And you guys know that we sell properties here. I'm a real estate broker in Toronto, and we specialize in selling homes. So if you ever want to reach out to us, you can go to sellhigher.ca. So how do we take this information and extrapolate this out to the real estate prices, which is the majority of you that are looking at either selling your home or just want to know what the price of your home is worth? How do we extrapolate that out? So we're seeing that inflation, according to them, has been beaten. That's what they're saying right now. It has been beaten. So if it has been beaten, how long will it take to see that? Well, I want you to go and type in response lag right into Google. And if you type that in, it's going to tell you that what is response lag? Response lag is also known as impact lag. And this is what every single, the Fed chair, Powell, Tiff Macklem, they're always talking about it, the lag. It's the time it takes for monetary and fiscal policies designed to smooth out the economic cycle and respond to an adverse economic event, to affect the economy once they've been implemented. It's to the time that it takes for the policy to take effect. That should make sense, right? All right, so let's take a look. If you go and read it, I point this out all the time. Look, it's still even highlighted. How long does it take? It can take 18 months. 18 months. It says right on their website, 18 months. That's how long it takes for you to see any change. But that is since the last time that they changed interest rates. Please notice that. That does not mean the first time that they changed rates, because we're not even at 18 months since the first rate hike that they did last spring. We have to wait 18 months since the last one. So we got some runway to go, you guys. All right. So now that we know that it's 18 months, what is the other parts of it? So let's go again. We apparently, according to the CPI that's released now, we beat it. We're now within that time slot right now. We're in it. We're in it. But what did it, remember, we always had 2%. Remember that we had for inflation. Now the government is saying, if you go to the Bank of Canada, that the measures of inflation, that they want the inflation control target of 1 to 3%. Of course, it always been 2%, right? But now they're going to say 1 to 3 sounds better, gives them a little extra fudge factor. So now that we're sitting at what their own words, not mine, now that we're at 2.8%, you guys, wow, they're going to be celebrating in the streets, dancing in the street. You know what I mean? They're excited about this. They hit it. All right, so where is Canada sitting right now? So Canada is sitting at 5% interest rate. This is what is crushing home prices, is the interest rate of 5%. But the United States, you're going to tell me, David, is at 5.2%, 5.25 right now, and they're going up to 5.5 imminently. Really, really soon, they're going to 5.5. 96% chance they're going to 5.5. But Canada is sitting at 5. And we look a little dumb, because you see, we paused it twice in March and April. Please look at this chart. I need you to see it went up and up and up. We were following the United States. And then notice what happened in March and April. We remained flat. So we got a little bit of egg on our face. We're not looking too good right now, right? Because Canada decided to go their own way and not follow our biggest trading partner. United States just kept on going up and up and up. One pause, and now they're going to raise it again. So let's review March, April. We paused. Now let's look at our Canadian dollar, because how did that go for us? Well, if you look through March and April, oh my goodness. So when we paused, our dollar tanks from 75 cents and drops as low as 72 cents. So that's 3%. Of course, as you guys just saw in the chart, we started raising rates again in June and July. Okay, so how did our dollar do in June and July? Oh my goodness, guys, look at that, straight up. So do you think this is a coincidence that our dollar is in the complete crapper when we decide for whatever reason to pause rates? But when we decide to raise the rates here in June and July, all of a sudden our Canadian dollar goes higher. So what does that mean? It means when our dollar goes in the crapper by 3%, how much does Canada import? And Canada imports $757 billion worth of stuff. $750 billion. You just try to figure out what that means. $750 billion, my friends. That 3% down, what does that equal out to? I don't know, like $50 billion or something like that, like sprinkled over every single ice cap that you have, every donut that you have, every washing machine that you buy has to go up. It has to be sprinkled over everything else. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay like it or not, is my point. So either we raise up our mortgage rates to match the United States and our mortgage goes up, but our dollar doesn't tank. Or we pause our rates in Canada on our mortgage. We save money on our mortgage, but then our dollar goes down the doo-doo here. And now every single thing that you buy in Canada is going to go up in price. So either your mortgage goes up $200 or your groceries go up $200. That's your choice. It's not a very good choice, is it? But either way, you're paying the $200. That's the note here. So we might as well be following the United States because our dollar is going to tank otherwise. Right now, it's gone right back up to 75 cents. We generally like it around 80 cents. That's what we need. But in Canada, we import an enormous amount of stuff from overseas. The majority of it is in US dollars. And so we have to pay even more that way. Now, in Toronto, I want you to zoom in here. Take your eyes and look really well at the bottom here. 2007, 2008, 2009. These are the years that America was having a complete meltdown. I mean, complete meltdown. Things were going really, really poorly. But look at what happened in 2007, 2008, 2009. Prices kept on going up. Canada did not even skip a beat, my friends. Not even a beat. Okay. So look at where we are right now when we look at this graph. Can you guys even see this micro little hook here at the end? That's all that's happened with prices. Barely anything. Where are we sitting right now? If you look up in this top right corner up here, right here, look at when I have it. Right there, it'll tell you what the prices are. Detached property is 1.4 million, a freehold townhome 1.3, condo townhome 900,000, and a condominium at 775. The last time, I need you to pay attention to this. The last time that we had a prime rate of 7% in Canada, it was in the year 2000. 2000. So back in the year 2000, a detached property was only 250,000 and a condo was 150. That's the last time we had 7%. So you guys are going to tell me, I know that salaries have gone up. Of course they've gone up since the year 2000, but guys, these prices have not corrected yet. So how long does it take for prices to correct, David? I'm glad that you asked. Let's go back. Remember what I told you? Response lag. It takes 18 months after the last rate hike. And we haven't seen the last rate hikes. We're probably going to see another one or two. Canada, if we're going to do any good, we're going to catch up those two that were down. See, if the United States move to 5.5 soon, we're going to be 2 rate hikes below. And so that's what I would be preparing for my base case. Now, Toronto prices have not adjusted yet to that new correction. It has not happened. But let's just take a look at some of the cities in Canada. If we take a look at the different cities in Canada, take a look at this graph. It doesn't actually matter we don't have to name the cities. These are different cities in Canada. But as you can see, if we go back all the way down to 2006 here, they were all in a very, very tight bundle. Did you notice that? In a tight bundle. Let's do this again. I think I got logged out. All the property prices were in a very tight bundle. Let's just change it to dollars, okay? They weren't like super, super different. What does that all run you? It was running from 83,000 to 350,000 or something like that. But you notice over the last 20 years, the prices have really started to separate. So there's some that have these massive mood swings. If you're taking a look at these crazy ones, what is this top one? Oakville. Absolutely bananas. Of course, Mississauga is in there. Greater Vancouver's the third worst. These are very manic depressive. So if you go through this type of a drop right there, we're talking bankruptcy, you guys. Bankruptcies all over the place if you had that. A price dropping from 1.6 all the way down to 1.2, evaporating $400,000, that will wipe you out. But all the cities in this lower half, they're very, very, very stable. So it really depends where you are. Of course, if you're in a manic depressive market, you're going to get hurt a lot more. And so I want to caution everybody about that. So we got a whole bunch of comments that are coming in today. I love to do this live because I love to be able to help you guys out. We're having a real life drama. The Bank of Canada. It needs to stop at some point, but they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Because if they don't keep raising the rates on mortgages, you're going to have a massive, massive issue with our dollar is going to crash. And so vice versa. It's a 6 of one, half dozen the other. We're into some trouble. There's this guy named Casito. He's saying a real estate agent who doesn't understand supply and demand. I actually understand supply and demand probably better than most. And I've been studying this for over 20 years. So this is the number one knee-jerk reaction to everybody who lives in Canada or the United States. They say, well, immigration is coming, so they're going to take care of that. What do I always say? For those of you who follow the channel all the time, if you believe that every immigrant coming to Canada has a $300,000 job, $300,000 a year job, and has $250,000, $400,000 in the bank in order to buy a property at 1.4 million and qualify for that, then you might be right. Well, we know what the numbers are. That is not correct. We don't have that. And so I know that there might be a lot of demand, but it doesn't mean that people can buy them. And so there's a lot of demand in Venezuela and Colombia. There's a lot of demand in Africa, a lot of demand in India too, but not everybody can afford a home. The key here is liquidity, and the ability to pay the mortgages on the loans has nothing to do with how many humans there are. So when you say demand, it has to be demand backed up by salaries. That's what it has to be. I'm seeing townhomes fall with nice detached homes also fall. Detached homes are going to fall more. The detached homes will fall more than townhomes. This happens every single recession. The bigger the price, the bigger the fall. So if we have clients who have big homes that are sold their massive homes and moved into small condos right on the subway. Amazing move. You're moving from something that's high risk to something that is lower risk. Every time I ask a fellow Canadian about these issues, they are saying inflation is too high. Of course they are saying inflation is too high. It is too high. But unfortunately, it's part of the gig these days. We need more stable corporations buying family homes and less poor people. We need more stable corporations buying family homes. Well, first of all, how about we just start with stable money where we're not going to overprint? You know what I mean? Ontario waterfront. Waterfront is an amazing thing no matter where you go. Here's a fun fact about waterfront. So if you look at Canada's biggest website for real estate is realtor.ca, and you could put filters in. I only want homes or detached properties or waterfront across the country. In Vancouver, Montreal, even in places like Calgary or something that is in the middle of the prairies, waterfront is the number one filter. Number one. And it's actually more than number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 combined, all into one. It's number one by a landslide. And this is funny because this goes back 6,000 years. Like everybody always wants to live by the water. So waterfront, they're not making any more of it. It's a fantastic thing. Fantastic. You like the live. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's get all these needy poor people out and invite more foreign investors. Oh, that's kind of crazy. Eh? Like the live, guys. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for all the info. You're welcome. Do you think this month's CPI numbers dropping could make home prices go up? No. They can't go up. This is what we were talking about, is that the supply demand dynamics are there, but it has nothing to do with the desire. It has to do with the amount of income and the amount of mortgages being lent out, or we call this liquidity. And the liquidity in the market is drying up, but there's a response lag to that could stretch maybe another 18 months from now, but you'll start to see a lot of cracks in the system way before 18 months. Will the rate pause in the fall lead to more price increases like earlier this year? No. The only reason it wasn't rate increases that increased home prices, it was a lowering of the commissions of the banks. When Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, all the banks in Canada lost $7 billion. When they each lost $7 billion, they were running scared, lowered their commissions by 1% each, which pushed up home prices by 10%. And then market sentiment took over an extra couple percent of that. So that's not going to continue for sure. Interest rates going up means home prices got to come down. JJ is asking, when there is a correction, how long is that correction? Well, when there is a correction, it depends where you are, because some places don't even have a correction, but other places did. If we look at the country as a whole, there are some areas that were 6 years from peak to peak, including all of the recovery time, but other places didn't even go down at all. So the places that are the most susceptible to a biggest price drop are places where land is expensive. Places where land is cheap generally don't have much of a fluctuation. But I had so many questions from this, you guys. I'm sorry if I skipped over some. If I missed some of your questions, please ask them one more time, and then I'll try to get to them. Where would you invest in Quebec, taking equity to buy? For sure, it really depends. It's too hard of a question to answer that. I would have to know your entire thing, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a mortgage broker. sorry, not real estate broker. We sell properties is what we do. But yes, for me, I always take any equity that I possibly can and buy cash flowing real estate, period. And just make sure that you're always buying good real estate and have a good team. You're going to have a very good agent. You need to have a strategist. You need to have a tax advisor. You need to have a good accountant. You need to have a good mortgage broker. You need to have a whole bunch of people on your team to start building this. And it could take several years. So if you're dedicated to the plan, then you're going to do well. It's really, really good to buy real estate, cash flowing real estate. It's very good to do it, but it's very hard to do it, if that makes any sense. But would I invest in Quebec? Quebec, no, that's the last place I would invest. Sorry, you guys. All right. And just to show you guys, you might like this actually. If you do real estate in the proper way, look at this. This is from my result came in 0 balance. No taxes have to be paid. If you are investing in real estate the proper way, you don't have to pay any taxes. Here's from the government, no taxes. So if you invest in real estate, you guys, if you invest in real estate, you don't have to pay taxes anymore. And that's 100% legal. So, I don't have my book right here. It's in my bookshelf just over there. It's called Tax-Free Wealth. Please go take a look at that. Never, ever, ever cheat on your taxes. Only do things the legal way. If you do things the legal way, you don't have to pay taxes anymore. That's what the government wants you to do. It's like the most patriotic thing you can do is not pay taxes, unfortunately. Isn't that crazy? I think it's crazy. All right, you guys. Well, if you don't have any other questions, that's great. If you guys are looking to sell your property, of course, you can always reach me at sellhigher.ca, sellhigher.ca. So you go here. This is where you sell your home for more money, faster, and less hassle. It's a free consultation. You could reach out to our team, put your name and phone number there, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as that we can. Do you guys have any questions before I leave? Fire them away. Are you going to lose me for one day? I'll be back tomorrow. All right, you guys, I think that I answered everything. Mortgage rates aren't included when looking at this inflation. Yeah, mortgage rates are included, but mortgage rates, they say are 30% of the drop. So yeah, mortgage rates are included in it. So that's good. Economics for Dummies book would serve me well. I don't think so. But you know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Do you see home prices declining in Toronto from now on? Yes, absolutely. Home prices are going to get squashed. Well, you should be seeing that over the past year. So when people ask, what do you think home prices? There's a lot of areas of Toronto that are down 20%, 40%. So it really depends where you're talking about. But supply and demand doesn't really have much to do with it right now. It's supply and demand of liquidity, not supply and demand of homes. Montreal Property Service, what are your thoughts about investing in Florida, condo and renting? I love Florida. Florida is amazing. 1031 exchanges, when the taxes work, make sure that you're talking to good accountants, good so forth. That's not me. But the 1031 exchange, which is a huge benefit in the United States, doesn't really affect Canada as well as it does if you're an American resident. So if you're planning to buy and flip, it's not going to work out very well for you. But if you're planning to buy and hold like for eternity, then I think it's a good move. Make sure that you're buying in a proper place in Florida, not in a city that is going to be affected too much by the flooding that has been happening, because the cities in response are having to spend billions of dollars to fix the walls so that they can handle higher sea levels. If that is the case, taxes go up to the moon and it doesn't make it very worthwhile anymore. So make sure that you're being careful where you're buying. But yeah, Florida is fantastic. The reason you want to buy in Florida, no income taxes for the state. So if you buy there, anyone who's moving into you can have a very good total debt servicing ratio for those tenants. So I like it. Thanks. This is the type of discussion I like to learn off. I'm 44 and yet to buy my first. Advice. Well, that's great. Well, congratulations on getting on the boat and thinking about buying a property. You should be buying property. You should buy as much property as you can, as fast as you can. I mean, that's just the name of the game. So, start making sure that you get your credit really good, get your income as high as you can, and get prepared. Usually, you should not buy a property, especially for your first property. You should be looking at 100 properties minimum before you're actually going to pull the trigger on one. Just make sure that you read all your books. I would start off by Tax Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. And try to get into the right mindset for you for there. Don't jump into it. Wait at least another year before we even look about buying a property. What areas do I recommend? In Florida, I like the Panhandle in the north. Like if you go too south, it's not worth it at all. Try and stick with the Florida Panhandle or Jacksonville. Those are the towns that I like. Should I make a business of it, or to live in a home? No. For me, this is the misconception, I think, of most modern people, is that they want to be house poor and live in their dream home, and they never get on the property ladder and move from a small place bigger over their lifetime. They just want to move to their forever home. Big mistake. A property is not an investment. A property that you live in is an expense on you. It's a liability. Sound like Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? So what you got to do is you're trying to buy as much rentals as you can to kick off enough income that you can live off of. And at that point, then you buy your own home. Until then, just rent something super modestly to get on that ladder even faster. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming by. All you guys on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, appreciate it. I hope that you're having a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. And let me know if there's anything I could do to help you. Again, if you want to sell your property in Toronto, reach out to me at sellhire.ca. Have a great day.